Have you ever noticed that every time you want to build something, you're always missing just that one final tool? And if you are a beginner like me, you probably have. You have got the wood, you've got the screws, you have watched at least a dozen of YouTube tutorials, you're ready. And then it hits you. In my case, I want to improve my wood joinery, cleaner joints, tighter fits, that one skill that makes your work from pretty good to next level. Because anyone can screw some pieces together, but precision, that's different. And precision requires control. So once again, here I am, not making furniture, not finishing a DIY project, but just trying to improve my workshop. Until next week, when I discover that other final tool. Every build begins with a foundation. For this project, that foundation is a routed tabletop. I start by cutting the panel to the right size. With the piece prepared, it's time to mark where the T-tracks will go. Using a strip of tape, I mask the position where the T-tracks need to be routed into the surface. The tapes help me clearly to see where the cuts should be made. And then the real challenge begins. This is the first time I try to route a channel like this. And like many times for a beginner, I quickly realize I don't have all the right tools or materials. So the progress is slow. The setup isn't perfect. But with a bit of patience and a few careful passes, the groove slowly starts to appear. It wasn't the easiest start of this build, but in the end, the channel is there, the T-tracks fit, and the first part of the routed table is complete. Next, it was time to mark the opening for the router insert plate. During the first routing session, I had used a tape to guide the cuts. But this time I quickly realized that the tape didn't really add much. Simply drawing the lines clearly on the surface worked just as well. With the outline in place, I could start preparing a guide. Using some leftover MDF, I cut a few pieces to create a small frame around the marked area. This frame would help to guide the router and keep the cut straight. By this point, I was much better prepared than before. I had bought double-sided tape, new routed bits in the right sizes, and enough material to properly set everything up. At first, I was a little unsure about the double-sided tape. I wasn't convinced it would be strong enough to hold the MDF guide in place during routing. The last thing I wanted was for it to come loose while the router was running. But after pressing down the guide and testing it with a bit of force, it quickly became clear that the tape was holding much stronger than expected. With that concern out of the way, I could finally start routing. Still, one important detail was missing. Looking back, I should have used a larger router insert plate. The base of my router was simply too small to sit comfortably on the wooden guides. Because of that, keeping the router stable while cutting the recess was still a bit of a challenge. Even so, things were already going much smoother than during the T-tracks. With the recess for the insert plate completed, the next step was to remove the center section. Using a jigsaw, I carefully cut out the middle of the panel. Because I didn't have a bigger router surface, I had made a few minor imperfections along the edges of the recess. So I took a moment to sand the edges and smooth everything out. With that, the routed tabletop was finally coming together. And with the step completed, it was time to move on to the next chapter of this build. As always, I start by building the wooden frame, starting with the rails. The plan is to make the rails just as big as the base. The bigger the rails, the more precise I can carve for later projects. At least that's the theory I have. Once the wood is cut to size, I start making the slot for the rails. This is the hole where the router will spin later. First, I measure the center point. After finding the center, I drill a hole with my speed drill. Then I try to cut straight lines with my jigsaw. And of course it didn't come out perfectly straight, but it does the job. I repeated this step for the back guide of the piece. You would think practice makes perfect, but this one turned out even worse than the first slot. To make the guide rails as smooth as possible, I made sure the screws would sit flush in the wood. This way, in the next step, I could attach the bottom of the rails to the front without wood splitting or screws sticking out. I also added two small support blocks on the side. These are meant to keep the rails sturdy at all times. I chose MDF simply because it was leftover wood I had. Although I realized MDF might not have been the best choice. Finally, I built a simple square frame to act as dust extraction. I glued and screwed it to the rails, making sure it stayed secure. With the base of the router table finished, I started working on the folding system. I began by cutting an extra beam to size and attached it next to the existing beam using pocket holes. Unfortunately, I somehow lost my pocket hole jack, so I had to do this way instead. In the end, it worked out just fine. Once the beam was secured, I made a foldable test piece using leftover MDF and the folding shelf supports I had bought at my local hardware store. According to the description, they can hold up 100 kilos, which seems more than enough. Attaching the shelf supports with the wood already in place was a bit tricky, because the wood had to line up perfectly with the rest of the work table. By first clamping the supports with a wood clamp, I was able to mount them firmly at the right height. After testing it, I was really happy with the result. As a beginner DIYer with limited space, this simple foldable system is perfect. I can use it quickly when I need it, and it barely takes up any room in my workshop. With the test setup a success, it was time to clean up and call it a day. On the next workday, it was time to replace the test setup with a real router table. While disassembling this test setup, I felt with the tip of my fingers slight height difference between the router table and the workbench. I decided to fix it with 2mm shims. Once they were in place, the transition was perfectly level. Time to secure everything. The rails weren't fixed in place yet either, so I decided to attach them as well. I started the assembly process by adding the guide rail components. I then spent quite some time measuring the drill points. These had to be positioned perfectly. Any mistake could cause the rails to not fit correctly, slide terrible, or even worse, make the system unstable and stop it from working properly. Once the left side of the fence was secured, I attached the threaded rod. I drilled the second hole only after checking its exact position, and it fit perfectly. Yes, I'm getting things right the first time, and that is an awesome feeling. Then I used the plastic stop blocks to hold the fence in place, keeping it secure but still movable or removable for other projects. And this is how the router table finally looked. Next and final step is to secure the router table to the metal insert plate. I removed the old router plate and reused those screws for the new setup. Now it's time to test the router jig and see if it does what it's meant to do. Let's go to the final chapter. And here is the final result of this build. Funny enough, I already realized during this build that it might, or just maybe, not is the final tool. But I want to end this video on the thought that this build is another upgrade for me and my tiny workshop. One step forward to getting really good at woodworking. I'm still inexperienced, but I believe you improve by practicing, and that's exactly what this channel is about. If you are curious to see how I and this channel will evolve over the coming months or years, I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. And that it is, guys. I will see you in the next one.